Hello, AMC students. So I'm here looking at tangent and trying to help you understand why tangent looks so crazy when we graph it, as opposed to sine and cosine. Sine and cosine have that nice wavy shape. It's nice and comfortable. Tangent is kind of all over the place. So let's start. This is from the Desmos activity. Let's start with looking at the definition of tangent. Definition of tangent is right here. Tangent is the sine divided by the cosine. Remember, that means the y value divided by the x value. So when you look at the unit circle, tangent isn't listed on here. You got to do a little work. You got to take each y value divided by the x value. So let's try to answer this first part. When is tangent equal to 1? In other words, when do I do sine divided by cosine and get an answer of 1? Well, you can think about it. What's a fraction that equals 1? 5 divided by 5, 30 divided by 30, negative 2 divided by negative 2. They need to be the same thing. You can also see that algebraically. If you multiply both sides by cosine, we know the sine has to equal the cosine. Where is the sine equal to the cosine on the unit circle? 2 spots. Right here, they're identical. And down here, they're identical. So what we have really done is figured out 2 different angles that have a tangent of 1. Just like with all trig, we can add 2 pi as many times as we want. And so we have uncovered some of the points on the graph of tangent. Pi over 4, comma 1, and 5 pi over 4, comma 1. And of course, you can add 2 pi and add 2 pi in both directions. And so we will get another repeating graph. Let's turn our attention to the second question. When is tangent equal to negative 1? Well, tangent's equal to negative 1 when the sine and the cosine are opposites of each other, like 5 divided by negative 5, or negative 2 divided by positive 2. So where does tangent equal negative 1? Let's actually use orange for that so you can kind of keep it straight. Where is tangent equal to negative 1? When they're equal but opposite. Here is an equal opposite spot. Here is an equal opposite spot. So I can see that at 3 pi over 4, we'll have a tangent value of negative 1. Think about it. If you divide square root of 2 over 2, divided by negative square root of 2 over 2, you'll get a tangent value of 1. And at 7 pi over 4, you'll also have a tangent value of negative 1. So we know 4 points that are on the graph of tangent. We also know that all of those points are going to repeat themselves with the cycle of 2 pi. And so you can start to try to predict a little bit of the graph, knowing that it's got some negative points, some positive points, and it repeats itself. The next slide is the really fun part. Fractions are a little bit trickier because there are certain numbers you cannot divide by. You can't divide by the number 0. Let's start with the first question though. When is tangent equal to 0? Well, when is tangent equal to 0? Remember, tangent is sine divided by cosine. So you can think about this a couple different ways. One way is, how do you get a fraction equal to 0? Let's pause just for a second.